You're listening to Civic Media. You can tune into any of our live shows on any radio station across the state with the Civic Media app. Find us in your phone's app store and listen anytime, anywhere.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Matt and Air on Air. We are on the Civic Media Radio Network. We are live in your ears on the radio or on the live stream. You can call or text us. The number is the same, 855-752-4842, 855-75-CIVIC, or leave that comment on the live stream. As you know, it's Friday. It's Free Ticket Friday. Dan's about to pick up his phone and try to enter again. But the word for today, for our show, for the next hour, about 54 minutes, math, is Friday. Friday is the word you want to text in via the Civic Media app. Text that in. You are entered to win a 4-pack of club-level seats to see the Brewers take on Philadelphia on September the 3rd, next Wednesday. That's right. We're in September soon. Sorry.
It's discombobulating, Greg.
It's very discombobulating, Dan. And that was the voice of Dan Schaefer, who is the political editor of Civic Media, the founder of the Recombobulation Area, and also Angela Lang, the executive director of Black Leaders Organizing Communities, also known as BLOC. Both write for the Recombobulation Area. Both win awards for their writing for the Recombobulation Area. I am surrounded by so much talent, and I got Calvin on the boards, and he's talented beyond belief. So I'm just a guy here sitting back taking notes. And I'm taking notes on the conversations we're having today. And I'm not going to lie, we're getting pretty heavy today because there's a lot going on. There's no such thing as a Friday news dump anymore. It's not the weird wasted news on the Friday. J.D. Vance was in town in La Crosse yesterday, had thoughts on Milwaukee. We were talking about the shooting in Minneapolis. We were also talking about crime in Milwaukee. And before we do that, we move on really quick. I just want to get to a few texts from people on the text line. You can always text us 855-752-4842. And you can also do that on the Civic Media app. And one that really popped out for me just came in a little bit ago. Tiffany, listening in River Falls on WLAK, says, my children attend a church daycare just 40 miles from Minneapolis, and I am a gun owner. We support safe gun policies, and we will not vote for anyone funded by the NRA, a.k.a. Republicans. And I feel like that is a very important statement I want to just really talk about just for a moment, is that this is a person who owns guns. They support gun safety laws. We have seen over and over and over again, a majority of Americans support some form of reform that brings safety, and it's common sense. You know, that's just what it is. And and whether it's polling, whether it's the people, whether it's dead bodies, politicians aren't listening, period. So I want to echo those voices of someone like Tiffany, who's showing us that it's not as black and white, left and right, blue and red as we think. People who own guns want sensible gun laws. Parents who own guns want sensible gun laws. And politicians who don't support that don't get their vote. So I don't know if they're listening out there. Probably not. I'm too liberal for their liking. But
well, I think here's another point, too, is that, you know, when Tony Evers started calling special sessions in his first term, the first time that there was a gavel in, gavel out was on the issue of gun violence prevention laws, ones that were supported, according to the Marquette polling, by like 70-80% of Wisconsin voters for universal background checks and for red flag laws. These are sensible majority positions, down the middle, common sense action that we can take to make Wisconsin a safer place.
Yeah.
And we're not even not just that we're not doing it, we're not even talking about it.
We're actively not doing it.
We're shutting down the conversation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. But watch this segue. We're keeping the conversation going right now. And we're going to talk more back to school stuff, though. It is back to school. Dan mentioned that. And Dan, you posted this in the chat a couple of days ago. We talked about this briefly yesterday about the possible referendums coming to the polls next year. I spoke more on the taxpayer aspect, but there's also another point to that story that you posted. What's going on? More referendums for us to vote on.
Yeah, story from Wisconsin Public Radio earlier this week with the headline, Wisconsin's cash-strapped school districts likely to turn to voters again for more funding. And so this is kind of one of the things that is, in many ways, a fallout from the state budget that was signed just a couple of months ago. That state budget did not have any increase for general purpose general school aid in the budget. So that means that, as we've seen over and over again in recent years in record numbers, we are likely to see many, many schools across the state go to referendum and ask their voters to increase their property taxes to pay for things that schools need, because the state government is not doing enough to meet the needs of school districts around the state. So in this article, Dan Rossmiller, the executive director of the Wisconsin Association of School Boards, which represents more than 400 school districts around the state, said that the state budget failed to fund schools at the same rate of inflation, and that there is an expectation that this lack of action by the state government, and again, it was a bipartisan passed budget in many ways. Mm-hmm. Tony Evers has been all over the state celebrating this budget, as have Republicans. It doesn't lead to the adequate amount of funding for schools, and now it means that many of these places are going to have to go to referendum, as we've seen hundreds of times over the past couple of years in Wisconsin. So as we talk about back to school, we're talking about back to school in a tragic sense, obviously, with what happened in Minneapolis. We're talking about the public policy implications of that. There are a lot of public policy implications that go into what's going on with our schools here in Wisconsin, and this is a big one.
And I spoke about that specific fact yesterday about Angela, I know you had to. I know I had to. Dan, you had to as well. But you have children. We do not. I voted yes in Kenosha for an increase in my property taxes because I understand what an investment means for the community. I don't like paying more property taxes, but if Madison's going to do nothing about it, well, actually, not nothing. They take a chunk of it and give it to a voucher program, so that's great.
Right.
But Angela, you live in Milwaukee. The referendum was for Milwaukee was probably bigger than all of the referendums put together around the state. It passed $272 million, I believe.
Somewhere in that neighborhood, yeah.
For you as a non-parent who lives in the city, voting for that, I mean, for me, it was a no-brainer. Yes, of course, I'm going to do it. That's what you do. That's what you do for your community. But there comes a point where you're going to look at that ballot and say, I'm done. If Madison isn't going to step up, why do I have to keep footing the bill?
Yeah. Yeah. And, for me, people ask all the time, they're like, well, you don't even have kids that go to MPS. Like, why are you so outspoken about, supporting any referendums for Milwaukee Public Schools? And my quick answer is I'm a product of Milwaukee Public Schools. I would not be where I am today without Milwaukee Public Schools. And fun fact, I actually ran into my band director and some old band friends at an event the other night. And, it's fun running into teachers and former colleagues that say, hey, I see your work. I'm proud of you. And it's like, I would not be able to do whatever I am doing without the support of those teachers. And I wish that every student in Wisconsin, not just Milwaukee, every student should have that opportunity. Now, with that being said, with the challenges of Milwaukee Public Schools, I understand why parents are like, ooh, I don't know if I can support this, or they keep cutting services. They're closing schools or merging schools. I don't know if I should put my kid in public schools. I may personally be a champion of public schools, but I'm not gonna, sacrifice my kid's learning experience because public schools are being failed. And I think that there's an opportunity to have conversations with parents that said, hey, what would get your kids back to Milwaukee Public Schools? What would get your kids back into public schools? And I think there are times we shame parents for having to make what is, I assume, the best decision for their kid. Because, as you said, Madison and lawmakers are not doing their jobs. And so I am really, really concerned with any future referendums in Milwaukee, if they're going to pass or not, because there's a lot of feelings about Milwaukee Public Schools. And, folks like us that are in the weeds and nerds, I'm not quite a policy person. So I'm not as nerdy, but, if we're looking into the weeds, we see how all of this impacts the future for our cities, for our Wisconsin, and people don't care about our kids, I think, is what we're getting at with the themes, right? Like we don't care about our kids enough to protect them from, mass shooters. We're not caring enough to actually fund public schools, right? And so kids are being left to just kind of fend for themselves a little bit. And the adults in the room clearly don't know how to be adults.
Well, and I think that brings up another point of discussion is that that's where the Republicans did an amazing, award-winning job of stealing the narrative and somehow blaming teachers and kids and administrators for the failing schools when it is the lack of funding. Robin Vos sitting on Upfront last year in November saying we gave them the largest influx of cash in a generation. Well, that's fine, Robin, but you barely gave them anything before. So really, I wouldn't pat yourself too hard on the back on that one. And the parents who are voting for this and the non-parents, I mean, I said I voted in Kenosha. It failed in Kenosha. It failed. It was one of the only ones that failed last year. Because people look at it and say, why am I doing this? I don't have kids there. They're not working. Why am I don't want to pay more taxes. I understand why they'd want to say no completely. But we point our fingers at the teachers and the students and all the other things. But what we're not doing is pointing our fingers at the politicians who have systematically underfunded the system while funding a second school system, and say, more information, please. Please go on with that one. Ruth is on the line from Eau Claire. Ruth, what do you think about this topic?
Well, I agree with you totally on the funding issue with schools, and that, the Republicans steal the narrative, but, we have to not let them do that anymore. And the other thing is, when it comes to school shootings, and going back another conversation here, I want to see anyone who's a legislator at the state or federal level, if you can support common sense gun laws, then put on a hazmat outfit, and the next time there's a school shooting, you go in there. You don't do it as a photo op. You go in there. You go in there and you clean it up.
Yeah. I mean, and that's, thank you very much, Ruth. We appreciate you calling and contributing to that. I mean, it's easy to make statements from ivory towers when you have no connection whatsoever. But what's really sad is when people do have connection and they're still saying, well, no, I don't think we should do it. But thank you so much, Ruth, for calling. I mean, I asked the question yesterday. I spoke to Emily Cephos about this and regarding her article in the recombobulation area as well regarding Democrats and rebuilding trust. But we talked about the school system, and people need to understand that this is not because teachers got lazy or kids got dumb or cell phones or whatnot and all these things. It's the fact that they have been systematically, purposely underfunded for so long because the Republicans want to see public education go away. And I can prove that for you because we have a president who says, I want to dismantle the Department of Education, so much so that I hired a lady with no experience who used to promote wrestling. So I don't really see the line of logic there, but we're going to talk about this article some more because there's more in that article from WPR about referendums. We got Dan Schaefer here from the recombobulation area. And stick around because coming up after the break, Dan's going to talk about a sale.
That's right.
There's a sale happening on a website that you all know about, but you got to find out more by coming back. We're going to take a break, get some water, stay hydrated. You are awesome. You are listening to Angela Lang from Block, Dan Schaefer from the recombobulation area, and Civic Media's political editor, by the way. And my name is Greg Bach. That's fine. I am here sitting in for Jane on Matt and Air on Air on the Civic Media Radio Network. You're amazing. Let no one tell you differently. Stay close. Stay tuned.
You're listening to Civic Media. Stay up to date on the latest news and information for your local community and Wisconsin by signing up for our free email newsletter. Visit civicmedia.us/email to get started.
Good morning. Welcome back to Matt and Air on Air. My name is Greg Bach, sitting in for Jane Matt and Air, who is currently on vacation. She misses you. She just told me. She just told me that. And she loves you, too. Stay hydrated. We are here on the show talking about lots and lots and lots of, I want to say heavy topics. It's a heavy show today, but we're talking about it because it's important. We can't let it go just because it's Friday, just because it's the weekend, a long weekend. Happy Labor Day weekend, everybody. My name is Greg Bach. I am joined by the wonderful Angela Lang, who is the executive director of Black Leaders Organizing Communities, as well as Dan Schaefer, who is the political editor of Civic Media, but he is also the founder of the recombobulation area. And Dan, there is something going on at the recombobulation area.
That's right. We are running a sale right now.
Oh boy. Which politician got in your DMs?
No, this is not a Derek Van Orden themed sale this time. This is not the special code Kick Rocks for a percent off here. No, we're running a sale at the end of summer. It's 35% off to subscribe to the Recombobulation Area. So it's a $50 value to just subscribe for the full year. You can get that for $32.50 today. Pretty good. Or if you just want to go 1 month at a time, we appreciate that too. And you can subscribe for $3.25 a month to support local independent journalism and support having voices like Angela Lang at the Recombobulation Area. So go subscribe so we can get more of Angela at the Recombobulation Area.
And this is award-winning journalism, award-winning opinions. These are people writing about our communities, about our state. I mean, I mentioned it earlier. Emily Cephos, who is the chair of the Outagamie Democratic Party, was on yesterday talking about her article on the Recombobulation Area. So this is a value. And we speak highly of this all the time. The local independent voices are the ones we need to be propping up. Someone on the live stream, I believe it was Sue from Franklin, said, why isn't media doing more to push back against this administration? And I appreciate that statement. I think, and I work in media. I'm employed by media. I'm part of the media machine. It is a nuanced and difficult conversation because here at Civic Media, we are encouraged, we are supported to speak truth to power. We are pro-democracy. That means telling people things they don't like hearing. They call us and text us and tell us we're wrong. But when we're talking about corporate entities, in my heart, and you know that you both know this, we know journalists who work for corporate or national news outlets. They are a bit tied by the hands because they have overlords and shareholders who are telling them we can't do this. And it's not because they like the current administration. They just don't want to become a target. So we're now walking in this thing of, let's see how thin we can make the First Amendment. How can you skate on that? So my point being, and I'm rambling and I apologize, but I like to talk a lot. My voice is amazing, but subscribe to the Recombobulation Area. Find yourself at places like the Wisconsin Examiner, Wausau Pilot and Review. Those are local papers. Those are local outlets getting the real news to you, and they're telling the truth through the news reporting. And also support public broadcasting. That's also very important. So
public broadcasting, nonprofit media, independent media, they all need your support. And so now's a great time to do it at the Recombobulation Area. You get a nice little discount with it. And you could also win some Brewers tickets. So we're giving away a couple pairs of Brewers tickets for anyone who subscribes with this sale as well.
So you subscribe there and you could win. And then if you text in Friday on the Civic Media app, you could win 4 more tickets. Who knows? It could be, this could be a baseball party in support of media that's getting you the real news and being all cool, like we're cool. I got a mustache, so I know I'm cool. That, by the way, blew everyone's mind. I got to say, everyone was like, did you tell anybody? I don't know who I was supposed to tell.
I think you needed to issue a press release about the beard.
Yeah.
But
in the moments,
that's a different conversation.
Yeah, in the moments we have left, in that WP article that you referenced, Dan, before, there is another discussion point, and that is cell phones in school.
Yeah, there was. It came up in that article. We had an article at Civic Media this week talking about a number of municipalities that are doing this for the first time, having bans for cell phones in school, whether it's a bell-to-bell ban, full day ban, or if it's bans during class. This is an issue that Marquette University Law School poll pulled earlier this year, and I'll just run through the numbers real quick. The polling on should we ban phones during the entire school day, 72% of Wisconsin voters said yes, 28% no, and people banning phones during class, this was overwhelming. You don't see these kind of numbers really for any issue in Wisconsin. 89% of voters said yes to banning phones during class, just 11% saying no to that. There was kind of an interesting age breakdown on this as well. The full day ban among the 18 to 29 age group, that was a little bit more negative. 43% said yes, 56% said no in that age group on the full day ban. But the ban during class, even the 18 to 29-year-olds, even the Zoomers were on board with that one. 71% yes to 30% no. So, I think a number of schools are taking a look at this. I don't know if our state government is going to take a look at this or really do anything anytime soon. But I think at the local level, we're seeing a number of this. There was a story at Civic Media out of Richland Center saying that they are imposing new cell phone restrictions. There are 17 states and the District of Columbia imposing new cell phone restrictions in schools this school year. So I think this is going to be one of those issues. And right now it's kind of looking more like one of those 80-20 issues that maybe there is some actual consensus behind.
Whoa.
So, yeah. I think it's a good thing to ban schools, at least during class.
We only have about a minute before we have to go grab some water and coming back with a audio sorbet potpourri, if you will, just talking about the weekend and Brewers and Packers and stuff like that. But Angela Lang, really quick, yay or nay cell phones in class?
Yay.
Yay cell phones in class?
I'm like, I got the opposite opinion, and I speak from experience. I had a cell phone since the 7th grade, and like we had to get special permission because my mom was sick, and so she was like, if anything needs to happen, I need to get a hold of my child.
Yeah.
So that was like a whole thing. I think there should be exceptions, and also with the rise of school shootings, I don't know, it may be good for kids to have cell phones.
There you go. The youth has spoken. We're going to keep this conversation going with Dan Schaefer and Angela Lang on the other side of the news break. Stay close, stay hydrated, stay awesome. You're listening to Matt and Air on Air on the Civic Media Radio Network. My name is Greg Bach, sitting in for Jane McNair. You're awesome. Let no one tell you differently. Good morning and welcome back to Matt and Air on Air. My name is Greg Bach, sitting in for Jane McNair, who is on vacation, enjoying herself. She misses you and she loves you. But you got me today. You got me for a few days. But also, you've got Angela Lang, who is my co-host today. She is the executive director. You're also the founder, right?
Mm-hmm.
The founder and executive director of Black Leaders Organizing Communities, also known as BLOC. And I'm also sit next across from, not betwixt, but I like that word, Dan Schaefer, who is Civic Media's political editor, the founder of the Recombobulation Area. I mean, it's recombobulating all day Friday. That's really what it is.
It's the Recombobulation Friday.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
If you want to be part of the conversation, the discussion, let us know your thoughts, your concerns, your comments, things like that. Tell us how much you love my mustache if you're on the live stream. You can do that by going to text or call. Number is the same, 855-75-CIVIC, 855-752-4842. Leave a comment on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, or what we still in this house call Twitter. A lot of conversation happening, a lot of important topics we're talking about. But we're going to shift gears because it's 10:36, which means it's time for Audio Sorbet. Yes. We clean your ears with fun at Audio Sorbet. And today it's kind of, I call it a potpourri. We didn't have a specific, usually come with a title or a theme or something like that. But today, very, very simple. We're just talking about this weekend.
Yeah.
Labor Day weekend's coming up. I assume for all of us, 3-day weekend. We will not be here, by the way. Actually, I should bring that up. We will not be here on Monday, Matt and Air on Air. It's going to be a expertly curated with some fresh content in there, but there will be interviews. There will be, we'll be talking to Kristen Leidy, who is an organizer up in Green Bay, Robert Pilot, who is the host of Native Roots Radio, and of course, Audio Sorbet, Tisbet, but it's going to be there for you, pre-recorded on Monday. We're going to be celebrating Labor Day. I hope you're celebrating too, keeping it safe, and remembering why we have that day off. Because as my friend Kristen says, unions are the only thing that can truly fight fascism. So, Labor Day plans, everyone. Dan, what are you doing this weekend?
You know, I'm staying in Milwaukee for one. I'm not
Good
going,
luck
I'm not,
with the crime.
I'm not going up north. Nothing like that. I'm sticking around Milwaukee, having a cookout, getting together with some friends. Might go try to see a movie. Might do some house projects. And really, above all anything else, I'm going to be celebrating the fact that Micah Parsons on the Green Bay Packers.
You guys are really, really excited, and we'll get to that in just a moment. But I want to ask Angela, what are you doing to celebrate Labor Day this weekend? Or just what are you doing this weekend? I should just say, let's start there.
Not contributing to any type of labor. I am not doing anything. I had to look at my calendar. I was like, what am I doing? It's one of the few weekends I don't have anything to do. So I'm trying to, catch up on some reading. I have to deep clean my apartment.
Mm-hmm.
But I will stop by Labor Fest because that's always a really fun time, and it's good to, there are times that you just kind of go and show up by yourself, and then you see everybody. It's one of those events that like everyone needs to be at.
Mm-hmm.
And we definitely pay attention with what elected officials show up and which ones don't. and who is in solidarity with the labor movement. And I did 3 years, felt like a 3-year stint at SEIU.
I did my time.
There are other folks I talk to, and they're like, "Oh, you also worked for SEIU?" There's just like a certain grueling organizing that you get put through. So I always have a special place in my heart for, especially too, going back to teachers. It makes me think of like Act 10. And that was like the first real time that I saw teachers being like villainized, right? I'm like, why are we making an enemy out of teachers? And to see the rest of the labor movement, stand up and stand in solidarity, even with folks that weren't in labor. So I think, yes, labor has, taken some hits and some beatings. I think it's important for folks to still really honor and really center how we got here and still see the importance of unions.
And just to get to the details on Labor Fest as well, that is on Monday, September 1st, 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. The parade kicks off at Zeidler Union Square Park in Milwaukee at 11 a.m., ends at the Summerfest grounds, Henry Meyer Festival Park. So go check that one out. Go check that out. It's a great festival, great parade, great way to, celebrate and be in connection with folks in the labor movement that is, again, put on by the Milwaukee Area Labor Council and AFL-CIO.
And I'll be talking actually next week to Professor John Shelton on Tuesday when we come back about the power, importance of labor and the labor union and labor movement in America. And really quick before we get to Micah Parsons, because I know you want to talk about that.
I really do.
Very excited about that. I encourage people to listen to that conversation. What is going on here? Something's playing. There we go. Oh, we had someone. Was that you, Dan?
There's a ghost in the machine. I don't know what's going on.
Gremlins, everybody. But I encourage people to listen to that interview I did with Kristen Leidy. If you can't listen on Monday, it will be on the website, civicmedia.us/shows, because she talks about her work at WEAC in Green Bay. And it's not just about the organization of labor. It's about other things the union does during the school year to help with things that happen in school. It's a really great conversation. And she talks about the villainizing of teachers through Act 10 and 32, which decimated this state so many years ago and really kind of put a huge mark on our really rich and beautiful history of labor. But we're going to move it along to sports, to the Packers. Okay, so if you listen to this show, God bless you. I love it. If you know anything about me, you know I'm not the biggest football fan. I don't dislike it, but I'm not the biggest follower of it. I'm going to try harder for Dan, for other people this season. But there is, I don't know, Angela, if you know this, but there was a real hubbub going on because Micah Parsons is now a Packer, correct?
Micah Parsons is now a Packer.
What does that mean? Tell me more.
Amazing. Okay, so the Packers traded 2 first-round picks and defensive tackle Kenny Clark to the Dallas Cowboys for Micah Parsons and immediately made Micah Parsons the highest-paid defensive player in the NFL. Micah Parsons is 26 years old. He will be entering his 5th season in the NFL. He is maybe the best pass rusher in the NFL right now, and he's only 26, entering his prime right now. There are a number of really good players that can rush the passer, and they are all paid really well, and they are all really game changers in the NFL. Micah Parsons might be the best of the group. And he is extreme. His combination of size and speed on the defensive end, like you watch the highlights of his sacks, like he is just still going when he is tackling somebody because he is just so darn fast getting to the passer. And that is exactly what the Packers defense needed right now. They have a lot of talent on the defense, but they did not really have a great pass rush last year. Well, they just added the best pass rusher in the NFL. It's very exciting. It's an all-in move. Like if you're more of a baseball or basketball fan, think of like Brewers trading for CeCe Sabathia or the Bucks trading for Drew Holiday. Like it is, real magnitude trade here going on, and it is. I'm very excited, Greg, as you can tell.
And trust me, I love your excitement.
Yeah.
I'm excited for your excitement. I love this for you. But what I loved is that you made the comparison. You made the baseball reference, and I went, and you made the basketball reference, and Angela went, and honestly, for me, like I don't like. It doesn't matter how big of a fan I am of football, but I know there is a frustration that I feel Wisconsin, not as much with the Bucks because of the championship, and I feel but there's always a frustration of like, why can't you guys just make a big move? Make a big dumb move. Just back the Brinks truck up and throw money at this person and get them here.
Go all in.
And that, I mean, you can make a commentary on three guys who I think it was in 2019. Manny Machado, Trout, and Bryce Harper, almost $1 billion between the three of them, and none of them, I believe, have produced a ring. So, like, you wanted, like, money will solve everything. But I do love seeing Wisconsin sports teams make these big moves. And really what I love even more than the move itself, because, I mean, I'll trust you, Dan, on everything you're saying about Micah Parsons. But I love the excitement that you have and that our live stream has and that the people are having. And there is just a palpable feeling of, okay, this team is, 2 years ago, I felt like everyone was very surprised by the Packers. Very young team going as far
Jordan
as
Love's first year. You didn't really know. Yep.
Doing way better than anyone expected. And this seems like a move that makes people feel like, it's like the Brewers in as much as this is not going to be about luck and winning. This is going to be about solid planning and implementation of the right people in the right positions, doing the thing they're best at and winning. And I think that's wonderful.
Well, and I think, too, they're going into the season, some of the previews that I've seen around the Packers is just like, they've got a great roster. They, it's a very well-balanced team. They got a good offense. They got a good defense. They have good players at positions up and down the roster, but they didn't have, like, that one star, right? Like, Jordan Love is kind of still emerging. We still want to see, like, what he can really do. Yeah. Obviously, he's got a ton of potential, but they didn't have that, like, bona fide, all right, this guy is the Packers star player on defense. Yeah. Now they do. Now they've got the best pass rusher in the NFL. And so now I think they went from being one of the teams that's going to be in the mix in the NFC to potentially rising up to be one of the favorites, one of the real, kind of inner circle Super Bowl contenders as we're looking ahead to this season. And so I'm so to see what this team is going to do. They've got a lot of other, some of the other linebackers and pass rushers on the team, Rashawn Gary, Edgerrin Cooper. They're really talented, but now having the opportunity to have, they're going to have to double team Micah Parsons on every play. Rashawn Gary, Lucas Van Ness, Edgerrin Cooper, some of these other defensive players are going to have like a real clean path to the quarterback, and I'm just really excited to see what they're going to be able to do.
I love your excitement. Carmela on the text line sent it, and she's listening to WAUK. I got home at 10:45 last night. I climbed into bed and my husband jumps up from sleeping and had to tell me about the Green Bay trade. He went on for at least 5 minutes. Tee-hee. Okay, honey, now go back to sleep. So there are a lot of partners and spouses saying this today. That's great.
Cool.
Angela,
love that for you.
Angela, like what is your sports love? Like, what do you love? We don't, you and I don't talk about sports, so I don't know what you like.
Sports balls.
We don't. Yeah. I mean, there's so many balls in sports.
Huge Packer fan.
Okay.
Huge Bucks fan. I will say I think I'm a little bit more, I'm a Wisconsinite. So like, every Sunday we're like Packer Sundays. You went to the bar, you got your Packer touchdown shots, right? Like it's a thing.
Cultural. Yeah.
Doctor approved.
But you also do not, I have very strong feelings, do not knock on Packer Sundays. If you are canvassing,
oh yeah,
do not knock on Packer Sundays. I will die on that hill. So all that being said, I don't follow like trades and like the stats and stuff like that. So I was like, I saw Dan's excitement on Twitter and other people's, and I was like, I don't know who this person is, but this must be great because I love the excitement. I'm just like a big cheerleader.
Yeah.
I know the names. I enjoy rooting. Like I know the rules of the game. I know the difference between a touchdown and, whatever. Clearly.
Click that for content, please. I know a touchdown from whatever.
But like also at the same time, I was like, I don't know who half of these people are. Like
Yeah.
I know the big names that are always like talked about, but seeing everybody else's excitement, I was like, okay, I'm excited too now. Great.
Well, and that's what I say, and Dan and I have had this conversation about the Bucks. I'm not a basketball fan, but I love the excitement that the fans have for the team. I love when the team's winning. It brings an energy to the city, to everything. And that's like, I can be a cheerleader for that while never, ever wanting to go to a Bucks game in my life, because that seat's for someone else who wants to be there, Dan. I'm doing you a favor. We're going to keep the conversation going, though. We got This Shouldn't Be a Thing on the other side of the commercials. Text that word in Friday on the Civic Media app, FRIDAY, for your chance to do it. To win Brewers tickets. You're listening to Matt and Air on Air on the Civic Media Radio Network. Stay close, stay tuned, stay amazing.
You're listening to Civic Media. Find the latest news, information, and archives of all your favorite shows on the Civic Media website, civicmedia.us.
Good morning, and welcome back to Matt and Air on Air. My name is Greg Box, sitting in for Jane Matt and Air, and I have across from me Mr. Dan Schaefer, who is Civic Media's political editor and the founder of the Recombobulation Area, currently holding a sale. And there was a question, Dan, really quick, that said, let's see here. I'm going to find it. Reply to the email. This is Jeff from Racine. Can current subscribers take advantage of the sale and have a chance at the tickets as well, or is this for new subscribers only, Dan?
This is for new subscribers only.
Okay.
Or returning subscribers, or anyone who takes advantage of this specific deal.
Oh, there you go. Okay. And we're also joined by the executive director and founder of Black Leaders Organizing Communities, Miss Angela Lang. She has been my co-host the whole show, but I've had friends here the whole time, and Calvin Butenhoff is on the board, and we're having a great time. Don't forget, it is Free Ticket Friday. You have a few minutes left to text in the word Friday, the day, FRIDAY, on your Civic Media app, not you, Dan. You text that in, and you get to enter in for a chance to win a 4-pack of club-level tickets to see the Brewers take on Philadelphia next Wednesday, September the 3rd. That's right. September is here. But you can do that. You can actually have many chances all throughout the day. After us, Tom Hartman's up, and he will have a chance to win. And then during the Todd Alba show, by the way, Todd Alba's kicking off his show today, talking about the history of Labor Day in Wisconsin. And then at 4 to 6, Maggie Dawn has an opportunity to enter. She'll be talking to Jack Ekbland, and you're going to be on the show too, right?
I may or may not be on the Maggie Dawn show this afternoon.
And they're going to be talking about...
Sources are saying. Sources close to the show are saying.
We've heard from people are saying... But she's going to be talking about Democratic voter registration and fundraising numbers. And then finally, Pete Schwaba at 6 to 8 with Nightlight. It's Friday, so it's Bar Band Friday night with Terry Barr. So you can enter with a chance to win in all of those shows. So keep it locked here on Civic Media. And then I also like to make sure that people know that after Nightlight, there's still wonderful programming going on. We've got Rational Revolution. We've got Native Roots. And we've talked to Robert Pilot. It's great stuff happening. If you can't listen to it live, you can go to civicmedia.us/shows, download episodes as podcasts, listen to them anytime, anywhere. We make it so convenient for you to be our friends here at Civic Media. But I've been talking, some would say way too much, and it's the end of the show. It's a Friday. We need to get out of here. So, Calvin, that means it's time for...
This shouldn't be a thing.
If you ever have a thing that should not be, send it in to Jane, Calvin, and me by going to Jane Says at civicmedia.us, JANESAYS at civicmedia.us. You can send us that. You can send us guest suggestions, story suggestions. Tell us how we're doing. Tell us we're great. Tell us how we're terrible. I've gotten those emails too, but Jane Says at civicmedia.us. Today's episode of Tisbad is entitled Projected Police Force Edition, and there is a nightmarish picture accompanying this story. This comes out of South Korea. We got this via Vice News. Ashley Fike has got the byline. South Korea has figured out how to post up a cop without actually going to send one every night between 7 and 10 p.m. in Seoul's Judan No. 3 Park. A full-size holographic police officer flickers to life, repeating warnings about CCTV surveillance and promising that real officers will respond in real time. There will be a link in the show notes for this, and I'm just warning you that it will bore into your eyes and eat whatever part of your soul that's left. Holograms are weird to begin with. Are we wrong? Am I wrong, Angela, Dan?
You're not wrong.
No.
A hologram police officer, as in this picture, and I would ask the both of you right now, if you've got the link, go there. It's just staring directly at you. And in what? No, thank you. Just put up a sign. How about that? The article goes on to say it's not a PR stunt. The hologram is fully backed by Seoul Police and built by tech company Hologramica. Okay, that just sounds like a terrible, Norwegian black metal band. They claim that it's more than just digital window dressing. Since the Ghost Cops installation in October, part of the Safe Park Initiative, reports of crime in the area have dropped. We should talk to J.D. Vance about this. They've dropped by 22%. Can you imagine, Dan and Angela, if they even attempted to put a holographic cop in a park anywhere in Wisconsin?
Yeah, I don't know if I should be terrified or
Be terrified.
Funny, because it's so funny how like the way people think about addressing crime always, not always, but a lot of times misses the mark, but provides some great entertainment. And I am very much so, I don't think anyone's surprised, anti Eric Adams. And so when they had their little thing in the subways, and I was like, how long before someone kicks it over or tags it? So it's strange, and it feels very dystopian, Black Mirror. And is this where we're heading?
Well,
I don't like it.
Have these people not seen any movies?
Right.
Watch a movie. All the AI stuff and holograms. Come on. Watch a dystopian movie from the 80s.
Inside its hologram brain, it's just like, I have feelings too. I know what to do. I have the answers. And then it just like, where did the hologram cop go? The Ghost Cop, by the way. Ghost Cop should have been the name. Ghost Cop. That is, yeah. Check out.
It sounds like a Jordan Peele movie.
Or a band I'm going to see at Cactus Club this weekend.
Ghost
or something
Cop.
like that. Yeah. Who's opening? Oh, Ghost Cop.
Oh, I love them. They're so good. They just stand there and stare at you while they play. All right. Well, folks, that's it for another edition of
This Shouldn't Be a Thing.
I want to thank Angela Lang, my co-host today, for being here. I love having you here. Love talking to you, my friend. It's always great to have you around. Love having Dan Schaefer here. Please go to the Recombobulation area. Take advantage of their sale going on right now. Subscribe, support both of them because they're both contributors to the Recombobulation area. I want to thank Calvin for running everything on the boards, as always, and doing an amazing job. Thank you to traffic. Thank you to engineering. Without you, nothing works. Thank you to the listeners, the texters, the callers, everybody. Without you, there's no us. And I want you to have a safe, wonderful, glorious Labor Day weekend. Remember why we have the day off. Celebrate the unions. Celebrate those who are fighting the good fight. Have a great weekend. News is coming up next, followed by Tom Hartman. You are listening to Matt and Air on Air on the Civic Media Radio Network. Take care, take heed, and be amazing. Have a great weekend.
The national news cycle never stops, but it can be hard to find news about your local community. Civic Media is dedicated to providing quality local and state news coverage across Wisconsin. With the Civic Media app, you can get notifications about local stories that matter to you and your community. Find the free Civic Media app in your phone's app store and choose notifications from the menu to tell us what kind of news you want to hear about.